A common question we get is, can littermate syndrome actually be fixed? The short answer is yes. It takes a lot of work to fix littermate syndrome, but it is doable as long as you have a set plan. Today, I'm going to walk you through all the exercises we give to our clients to work on every single day to manage and fix littermate syndrome. If you're looking for background information on what exactly littermate syndrome is, I would suggest watching our other video on littermate syndrome. I'm going to link it down below. It gives you the basics and just a high-level overview. In this video, though, we're talking about how to actually fix it. I am going to give you the short answer, though, of what littermate syndrome is. It is when you get two puppies from the same litter or even different litters and you get them too close together and they bond to each other too tightly, which causes major socialization issues down the road. A question we often get from dog owners is, how soon should I start working on littermate syndrome? And the answer is immediately, as soon as you can. If you have two 8-week-old dogs, I would be working on this today, without a doubt. And if your dogs are older, it is what it is. We get clients every single day that call us with dogs that are 6 months, a year, 2 years that have littermate syndrome. So however old they are, however long you've had them, start immediately. We have a pair of littermates with us here today. They are Sky and Ziva. They're 2.5-year-old German Shepherd sisters. We've been working them for a while, so their littermate syndrome is going really well. They are social, they're friendly, and they're able to be apart from each other. But we still work on these exercises with them, and we ask the clients to do so as well. This is how we make sure they do well lifelong. Once clients become aware of littermate syndrome and they start working on it, a very common question is, what's appropriate play? And they ask that because people generally think of littermate syndrome as causing fights between the littermates. That does happen quite often. It's not the biggest issue with littermate syndrome. We're going to get to that in a few minutes, but let's talk for a minute about the dogs being together. They do often fight, and the biggest problem people have is just telling what's appropriate play and what's inappropriate play. So here's some things that we look for. The first off, barking and growling is fine, and so is, biting each other on the scruff. Those are all normal things that dogs do. So if you have two puppies that are rolling around in your living room and they're growling and barking and biting each other, there's a pretty good chance that's okay and very normal puppy behavior. Things I would look for, one is there needs to be give and take. So if you see one dog is always on top and they're always jumping on top of the other one, they're doing the biting, the other one's always on their back, that's definitely a warning sign. I want to see give and take. So I want to see one dog jump on the other one while he's, growling and playing, and then jump off, and the other one gets on top. And now the first dog is on their back while the other one is on top. That's what we look for, give and take. If you don't see give and take, you need to step in and calm the dogs down and, figure out a plan to teach one dog to play more appropriately. One of the most common reasons that littermates actually start fighting each other is due to excitement. And sometimes this does happen during play. So what happens is they're playing, everything is appropriate, and you see it building until all of a sudden they just cannot control their excitement and now they actually start fighting. A question we get from clients is, how do I know if they're fighting or playing? And the best answer I can give you is, you'll know. Trust me, if they're fighting, you're absolutely going to know. The bigger challenge is figuring out, is the play appropriate? Is it going to lead to a fight? Right? And once a fight starts, you're going to know. But what are the warning signs leading to a fight? The biggest warning sign, like I said earlier, is no give and take. One dog is just constantly pushing into the other one and being rude. So when in doubt, what I suggest is practice stopping their play. Figure out things you can do. I've got a lot of great options for you. One is the place command. I love having, littermates playing and I say place, and each dog has to go to their separate place. If you can do that during playtime, you're on the road to, having good littermates lifelong. But you can also work on the down command. You could work on come and call both dogs to you, but you stand the chance of them wrestling the whole way to you. You could also just say, figure out some word to stop. So some people use out, some use leave it, some would say stop. I don't want you to say no unless you're sure they've done something wrong. So what I mean by that is you don't want them playing, everything's great, and now you feel like, hey, I should calm them down, and now you're telling them no. That's going to be confusing, so I'd only use no if they've done something that you're never going to allow them to do. A decent number of littermates fight due to jealousy issues. So the classic example is owner sitting on the couch, they're petting one dog, the other dog comes up, pushes his way in. Now the first dog says, hey, I'm getting petted, maybe growls or nips at the other one, and then all of a sudden you have a full-on fight at your feet. There's a few ways you can handle this. One is practice petting the dogs individually, where you pet one dog, and if the other one comes up, you send them away. So you expect, I can pet one dog, the other one comes up, I say, hey, get back, and I shoot them back. Great exercise to work on. And also work on petting them both at the same time and expecting good manners. So if you're petting both and all of a sudden they're nipping at each other or one's pushing in front of the other, stop them. And you could just use a collar, you could just reach down and tell them no with a little tug and then go back to petting again. Separation anxiety is another really common issue we see with littermates. It's extremely common. The reason is they've bonded to each other too tightly. Now they're uncomfortable being apart. You need to work on specific exercises here to make sure your dogs are comfortable being away from each other. The first thing I recommend is crate the dogs separately. No way should they be in the same crate. I don't care how little they are and how big your crate is. Crate them in separate crates. That's crucial. But more than that, I would recommend crating them in separate rooms. And the reason is, if they're 3 inches apart in different crates, they might as well be in the same crate, right? They're going to be licking each other through the bars and smelling each other, and they're going to be used to each other's presence right there all the time. So I would suggest different rooms. If you can't do different rooms, sometimes we work with clients who are in an apartment and there's just no option for separate rooms. One thing you could do would be to get a room divider. And so and I'll put a link in an Amazon link down below so you can check that out. The room divider is just something you can easily set up between the crates, so at least they can't see each other when they're in them. I want to pause here for a moment and ask you for a favor. If you're enjoying this video, please take the time to hit the like button. That really does tell YouTube people are enjoying our video, and it helps get it in front of more people, which is really important. We want to help everyone we can. Another exercise I want you to work on is make sure that the dogs can be separate, that one dog can stay home while the other dog leaves. This sounds easy. Trust me, it can be pretty hard. So the way we set this up is first we kind of plan for the worst. So what I don't want you to do is just take one dog and just leave while the other dog's loose in the house or in their crate and you just hope that they're good. They might be good, but you could also have some big problems on your hand. So this is something I recommend having 2 handlers for. What I would do is I would have one dog leave, go for a walk, and just, leave the front door, garage, whatever, off they go, and now see how the other dog responds. I don't want you to let them escalate, though, so I don't want you to let the dog that's left home get really stressed out. So you could already have a leash and collar on if needed. If you don't have the leash and collar on, watch them really closely for any signs of stress. So stress signs would be whining, panting, barking, salivating is a common one, and just, pacing back and forth and unable to settle. That would be a problem. You want them to act completely normal when the other dog leaves. They're probably not going to. If you don't see any issue here, I would be surprised. Expect to see something. So generally what we do is we put a leash and collar on the dog that's left home and we train. Work on anything your dog knows. It can be as simple as the heel command. Do left turns, do right turns. If they know their commands, do some sit stays, down stays, come, anything you want. The goal is to give them something calm to focus on so they're not thinking about the other dog being gone. And through time, hopefully you no longer need that training, that the first dog leaves and of course the dog that's left home isn't pacing, whining, or barking because of your calm training. Another good test of their ability to be separate is to go for a walk together where you go down the road, 2 handlers, one dog with each handler, and then out of nowhere you say, hey, see you later. One of you turns left, one of you turns right. This is a great exercise to work on because generally it's going to be stressful for the dogs when you first do it. They're going to want to be together and just go for a separate walk. Have some bonding time with that one dog and make sure they're comfortable walking through your neighborhood just themselves with you and not the other dog present. We just discussed how important it is to separate the dogs, but we haven't talked about what to do when they're separate. Now think back to the start of this video, and if you've watched our other video, think what we harped on there. Socialization is a huge issue when it comes to littermates. And I'll tell you why. They're used to being together, and what can happen is they bond to each other so tightly that when you're out socializing, they're not getting the full effect because they're not seeing the other dog and thinking about them as much. Very often they're focused on each other, and they meet a new person and they're focused on each other, or they're reliant on each other. So that can be a big problem. So when you have them separate, your goal is to socialize them separately. And we have 3 pillars of socialization. The first is different environments. So there's so many places you can go. Take them to Home Depot and socialize them there. That's a great place to work. You can also just go to the park and socialize them there. Really any place that you can think of. The reason we love Home Depot is there's a lot of people around, and you can go with 2 handlers where you walk in with both dogs and then you go your separate ways. And one person trains in one area, one trains in another, or you can do full-on separate trips, leave one dog home and leave with just the other. Like I mentioned earlier, though, I would have someone at home just in case the dog that's left is very stressed out. The next pillar of socialization is socializing with different people. So you are looking for every type of person you can imagine. Big, tall, man, woman, people that look different, sound different. The goal is your dogs learn that this is not a problem to meet new people, and you want to make sure they can handle it on their own. So you're going to take them and socialize together, and you need to socialize them with new people separate. And the third pillar is socializing with other dogs. You want to make sure your dogs can meet other dogs together. So you would like to be able to tell them heel, walk up to a new dog, put them in a sit stay, tell them free when you're ready and let them say hi. And you also have to make sure they can do that on their own. If socializing sounds like a lot, it is, but it's actually pretty darn fun because at the end of the day, you're out in public with your dogs I would suggest watching our video on socialization. It helps you build a full plan. I want you to write this stuff down and make sure you're covering all of your bases. A few more socialization related things I want to throw at you. One, and I've alluded to this, you need to do all your socializing with one dog, with the other dog, and together. So every single thing you have in your socialization plan, I want you to have a checklist for dog number 1, dog number 2, and both dogs. And it's crucial they can handle it in every single situation. Another thing is I want you to be aware of something called a critical socialization period or critical socialization window. This closes when your dog is roughly 16 weeks of age, and it is crucial that you socialize them before that. So don't wait on your socializing. If your dogs are older and that window's passed, it's not the end of the world. You can still socialize them. Everything is just going to be harder than it should be. The reason the critical socialization window or critical socialization period is such a big deal is dogs are hardwired. They're hardwired to only trust things that they've seen early on in life. And there's a real genetic reason for this. Picture your dog if they were living in the wild. They shouldn't go up to strange things they've never seen before, right? So everything they've seen when they're a really little puppy with their mom and dad in the wild, that would be normal to them. But a dog's not going to live very long in the wild if at a year old it sees something new and it says, hey, maybe I'll say hi to this elephant over here, right? That's an easy way to get killed. Dogs still carry that characteristic with them today. So that's why it's important to teach them that everything they're going to see in life is normal and they should be comfortable going up to it. Keep in mind that your dogs are going to be very different from each other, and it's very normal with littermates to have one dog who's much more pushy and assertive and challenging, and another dog who's very submissive and maybe even nervous and easygoing. Don't expect them to act exactly the same. So when you're working and socializing with your more excitable dog, you might see they're wild, they're happy-go-lucky, they see a new dog, and they're pulling you as hard as they can to get there, and you're working on slowing them down. And then your submissive dog might do the exact opposite. They see a new dog and they're hiding behind you or, not comfortable without their buddy being there. Look for those things, kind of expect your dogs to be different, and make sure you're tailoring your training and your socializing to that particular dog. The same goes for obedience commands. You're most likely going to have a dog who on obedience is more likely to challenge you, who says, no, I don't want to lay down, there's a squirrel over there, and they're pulling to get away from you, or they're willing to disobey a little bit more. And then you're probably going to have a very submissive dog who wants to please constantly, and you say something and they're, you might say come, and they're like, I can't come, I'm scared, there's, the dog 50 feet away. Expect them to be different and make sure you're tailoring your training to them. You cannot treat your very submissive, nervous dog the same way you would your very assertive dog. If you need help on creating a training plan, definitely reach out. When it comes to obedience, it's just like socializing. You need to work on everything with your dogs, separate as well as together. So all of your obedience commands, heel, sit, down, stay, calm, in every situation, you need to work on with dog 1, you need to work on with dog 2, and you also need to work on with both dogs together. This is really important. I know I've given you a lot of details here today, but trust me, there's a lot more. Littermate syndrome can be complex. Definitely check out our next video. We're going to be releasing one on what to do the day you get new littermates. And the idea is that you start quickly and you have exercises you can work on day 1. Thanks for watching. Reach out. We'd love to help you with your dogs.